G7 leaders meeting in Germany are mulling collective action against China in an unprecedented move. U.S. officials say the industrialized democracies aim to remedy what they consider to be China's non-transparent and market-distorting international trade practices. Now, that plan will reportedly include efforts to remove forced labor from global supply chains. This comes a day after G7 leaders pledged to raise $600 billion in private and public funds over 5 years to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative and finance infrastructure development in developing nations. G7 leaders have also agreed to study potential price caps on Russian oil and gas to prevent Moscow profiting from its invasion of Ukraine. The G7 will commit up to $5 billion to improve global food security, with the United States providing over half of that sum. Now, the funds will go towards efforts to fight hunger in 47 countries and fund regional organizations. Ollie Barrett joins us live from El Mal. Ollie, lots to cover, but first to those proposed caps on Russian oil prices. Is it likely to get a collective nod from all 27 European nations?
It's going to be very, very difficult indeed to make this plan workable. Indeed, through the course of the 3 or 4 days that we've been gathered here in the German Bavarian Alps, the plan seems to have changed several times already. It was an American idea to start with. The Americans have been really concerned that actually some of the measures that they've been putting in place with the rest of the West and parts of the international community aimed at Russia have been counterproductive, because pushing up the price of oil has meant that Russian revenues have been rising as well, and therefore that money has been able to continue flowing into Vladimir Putin's war chest. And so they want to do something about it. The idea, therefore, came up of a price cap on Russian oil, perhaps using transport as a way of getting to that, of enforcing it. But then during the course of the discussions here in Germany, the French said that actually they would propose a price cap on oil worldwide. Well, that certainly raised eyebrows among officials here, and it seems to have now been put to bed, and officials have effectively agreed here that they are going to work towards an agreement on a price cap on Russian oil. They don't know exactly how they're going to get there yet. They don't know whether they're going to be able to get the agreement of the European Union member states, but also agreement of other economies around the world that are continuing to buy Russian oil. How would the enforcement mechanisms work? So in a sense, you could say that we are not a huge amount closer to that type of situation actually becoming a reality. What we've seen here over the last few days is that the G7 countries have agreed to work towards an agreement.
Now, all eyes are going to be on U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping's talks in the next couple of weeks. And with another development, those proposed actions on China's market practices, how likely is that to open fresh cracks with relations with Beijing?
Well, you would think that it's going to open up a fresh war of words. The Chinese response to allegations like that from the Americans and their partners has always been to deny that that is the case, and sometimes to accuse the Americans of market distortions of their own. It certainly is likely to feed into discussions between the two sides' officials and their leaders. And actually, while a lot of the headlines have been focused on Ukraine here in Germany, China really has become another central issue. It's not just those words in the communique about allegations of market distortions, attempts to work to remove forced state-backed forced labor from supply chains. Again, China would deny that that is something that it is complicit in, but the G7 countries certainly believe that it is. But we also saw that infrastructure plan unveiled by leaders here, a new iteration of the plan that Joe Biden tried to get going at the last G7 in Cornwall last year. And that is clearly aimed to be a rival at China's Belt and Road strategy. So as I say, while Ukraine has grabbed the majority of the headlines here, China has been pretty central on the agenda as well.
Ollie Barrett on those significant developments from El Mal. Thank you.